Communion. Something that is celebrated every Sunday. Millions of people partake in Holy Communion, all sharing the same cup and the same spoon. And when you first see this, a question naturally comes to mind. Why? Why share the same cup and spoon? Wouldn't that spread disease? What if people get sick, maybe even seriously sick? And an even deeper question remains, why do they do this at all? What is so important about this cup that believers have shared it for nearly 2,000 years? At first glance, communion looks like a public health nightmare. Hundreds of people all sharing from one cup, one spoon, hundreds of mouths. In modern science, we are taught that disease can be spread by saliva, viruses, bacteria, and even mass infections. But strangely, it hasn't. For nearly 2,000 years, communion has been shared this way through wars, plagues, and pandemics. So the question changes from, is this dangerous, to something far more unsettling. Why isn't it causing all the problems that we fear that would happen? The church didn't practice communion in clean, modern hospitals. It survived in a world of plagues. It survived through things such as the Black Death, smallpox, and cholera. Entire cities, once full of life, now empty. Doctors fled. Families now sealed in their homes. Yet priests continue to give communion from the same chalice, with the same spoon. If communion spread disease, history would have recorded it. But instead, history recorded something else entirely different. To outsiders, communion may just seem like bread and wine, but to Orthodox Christians, it is something far more than just bread and wine, and far more than just a symbol. For many Christians throughout history, communion is believed to be the real presence of Christ himself. But you probably didn't know that Christ has directly said it himself.
Take and eat. This is my body. Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins.
Christ never said, "This represents my body." Instead, he said, "This is my body. This is my blood." For Orthodox Christians, these words are taken seriously, just like in the early church. Because if communion is truly the body and blood of Christ, then it is not something ordinary. It is not just a tradition, it is something holy. If communion is truly the body and blood of Christ, then it is not a source of death, but rather a source of life. The end of every divine liturgy, something happens that many people never notice. After everyone has received communion, there are still some small portions left that are still left in the chalice. Pieces of the consecrated bread and the remaining of the wine are still left in the chalice. And according to the tradition of the Orthodox Church, these cannot simply be thrown away, because the church physically believes it is the true body and blood of Christ. So instead, the priest, or sometimes the deacons, if one is serving, consumes everything that remains. Every particle, every drop. If communion truly carries diseases, the priest would be the one most at risk. Week after week, he would be consuming what hundreds of people have just shared from the same cup and spoon. And yet, this has been the practice of the church for centuries. Priests have done this during harsh times. So if the chalice and spoon were truly dangerous, the priest would be the first to fall. But they haven't. Not because they are careless, but rather because they believe that what is in the holy chalice is not something that is regular bread and wine, but rather the living body and blood of Christ. So why do millions of Christians continue to share the same cup and spoon? Why has the practice continued for nearly 2,000 years? Through dangerous times like plagues, pandemics, and many well-known diseases? The answer? For Orthodox Christians, it is simple. Because communion is not represented as just a symbol, neither is it just for tradition's sake that the church repeats every Sunday. It is believed to be something far greater. The real presence of Christ himself. This is why the chalice is treated with such reverence, why every particle is consumed, why the practice has never changed. Because for those who believe, communion is not something ordinary. It is a mystery that has been shared by Christians for centuries, not as a source of fear, but rather as a source of life. And that is the great mystery of communion.